Behind every panel, every speech bubble, and every illustration is an artist. An artist who pours their heart and soul into creating stories that are beyond one's imagination. Whether they are seen here, or just here, they are always at the helm of shaping some of the best stories to ever grace not only pop culture, but our hearts in the process. Today we are going to look into the minds of some of the most talented artists in the industry to see how they got involved in creating some of the stories that we know and love today.
My name is Tony Washington. I'm an illustrator, concept artist, and music producer based here in San Diego, California. I've been in the industry for 29 years. It'll be 30 in January for myself professionally. And I've been able to be very fortunate to work in various companies. My first that gave me the shot of a lifetime was Image Comics, Wildstorm division, to be more particular. I got to work at that studio at the age of 18, being hired right out of San Diego Comic-Con. I was able to learn computer coloring for the first time and have my first exposure to that digital landscape of artistry. And I was able to do that there for about 3 years. And then from there, I moved on to Midway Home Entertainment, where I was a product analyst or a game tester, and then moved into concept design for that, which gave me the first footing to move into a completely different field, which is feature film for me. My first feature film was TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, back in 2006, I believe that's when that came out. And from there, it sparked a lot of other opportunities for myself.
My name is Eric Gist. I'm often credited as EM Gist. I'm a professional illustrator and art instructor. I teach at Watts Atelier of the Arts, which is also where I was trained. I've been doing freelance illustration for about the last 20 years or so, and I've been doing professional art for about 25 years. I started off working in video games and then moved on to doing freelance illustration for things like Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of gaming art, tabletop gaming art, and then eventually moved into what was my end goal, which was to do painted comic book covers. Most of my work now is on the sort of horror corner of Marvel Comics and a lot of Star Wars stuff.
Just like any superhero would, these artists have an origin story of their own that describe how they reached a level of recognition in the comic book world.
My path for getting into comics, it started around the age of 15. I saw a book called Spawn. I've always been a fan of comics, and I always would, anything I can kind of get my hands on, I would read. Like the first graphic novel I actually ever saw, probably shouldn't see that as young as I was Death in the Family. It was a Batman story, which was really changed my outlook of what comics were, because it really was very dark and visceral for what I was, never was exposed to. It was always something always happy and colorful, but that particular book was a very dark one. But I saw Spawn, and I knew there was something about the coloring and the way the production was done in that book that I had never seen in comics before. So I wanted to figure out how that was done. And I knew, being thankful enough to be here in San Diego, California, I was like, well, I can go to Comic-Con and I can go find out exactly how it's done. But after graduating from high school here in San Diego, I ended up going to CalArts, which is up in Valencia, California, for animation, since Disney hired a lot of their artists from that school. But my heart was still to do comics, so I did my own Spawn comic. I was like, well, that was the book that got me inspired. Why don't I just do something focused on that? And I took that portfolio, I took a train down, and went to Comic-Con at 18, and that's where I got hired at Image Comics. And whilst originally Top Cow had hired me, which is Mark Silvestri's group that was in Santa Monica, but they ended up transferring me to San Diego since I lived here. And I worked at Wildstorm, and that's where I got my first chops with Photoshop, because I could not afford that software at 18 years old, so I had to figure out how to learn this stuff. So from that, but it took Spawn. That was the book that got me like fired up to want to learn how to do this stuff. And I don't know where I would be without not seeing it and being exposed to that book, because it really, as a 15-year-old, I knew my mission was to figure that out, because I had no clue what made it look so cool. So, that was definitely very inspiring for me as a teenager. And I've always loved to draw, but that's really what planted the seed to do this as a profession.
I would say I actively started buying them and collecting and kind of going out of my way to buy comic books and sort of making it part of who I thought I was. When I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, I just would go to the local 7-Eleven a lot on the way to sporting events that my brother was in, and picking up comic books, just whatever struck my eye, which was a lot of Spider-Man and X-Men, things like that, Batman, Swamp Thing, a lot of that kind of stuff. And just the art, I was enamored with it. And so for a long time, I wanted to be like an interior comic artist, traditional pencil and ink, sequential comic book artist. And I still love that stuff, and I still want to do it at some point. But as I got a little bit older and I started my training as a professional artist, I had more of a knack for single image storytelling and painting. I was a better painter and single image storyteller than I was pen and ink and sequential storyteller. And I had more of a natural aptitude for it. So that's what I started doing a lot. Then I started studying a lot more painters, illustrators like Phil Hale, Joe Jesko, Glenn Orbeck, people like that. As I started training at Watts Atelier, I just started gravitating to more of that kind of stuff. And along the way, I just kept building up my portfolio, taking some jobs that maybe I wasn't excited about, but they paid the bills and helped me continue to develop as an artist. And eventually started getting offered the types of jobs that I wanted to do.
Listen, when we cut back to the show, you're gonna keep your mouth shut and you're gonna play the game. Okay? Get your shit together, or else you'll be eliminated. Okay, Seuss. And we're back with more Randal's Trivia Show! If you're joining us just now, our contestant, Kara, has advanced to the next round. Sadly, however, our contestant, Jesus, did not. Well, now that you're all caught up, let's check in with our remaining contestant. How is my star contestant doing? That's the spirit! Are you ready for your first question?
No!
Great!
Please. Please.
What?
Please,
is-
please. Please. Please, no.
What?
Please,
is-
please, no. Please. Please, please. Please, no. Please!
Shut up! Just shut the fuck up! What is the second smallest state in the United States of America?
I don't know.
Come on. Sure you do.
No, I really don't.
Aw. Would you look at that? Our star contestant is being modest.
No, I really don't know it.
Yes, you do, sweetheart. Come on, just give it a try.
No, you're still not doing it!
What did you just say?